Hey there, how's it going? In this video, I'm going to show you how to deploy the Big Crawler IPs project so that you can start saving all of the GoogleBot and BingBot official IP addresses into BigQuery so that you can use it for log analysis and authentication and validation of actual GoogleBot and BingBot visitors and crawls. So I'm going to go over to Google Cloud. So if you go to console.cloud.google.com, you'll be taken there and you'll see the screen. So first thing I'm going to do is mosey on over to run a query in BigQuery. You can also navigate here by clicking these three bars and clicking on BigQuery SQL Workspace. We are in this workspace right now. I'm going to go ahead and create a data set. And in this case, I am going to name it Big Crawler IPs, just for the data set name. I'm going to set this. So one thing you can see here is that, validation wise, it has to use letters, numbers, or underscores. So let me update it here. We can see that. You can choose multi-region or specific region. I like to do US Central, and then I'm going to hit Create Data Set. So that is the first step is making sure you have your project set up and you have your data set. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mosey on over to Google Cloud Functions, and this is where we're actually going to deploy the code from this GitHub repository. So we're going to hit create function. And sometimes if you haven't deployed a function yet, you are going to see this kind of pop-up that asks you to enable the APIs. So here, first, we're going to name our function, which in our case, we're going to name it after the actual repository. So big-crawler IPs. I'm going to set it to second gen. I'm going to move my head over here, allow for unauthenticated invocations, and we're going to click this down arrow here. So in this down arrow, you can set various timeouts, configure the actual cloud function itself. As far as timeouts go, I like to give it 120 seconds, which is 2 minutes, just in case the function may run for a little longer than the default minute. It shouldn't in most cases, but I like to have kind of that safety net. And the next important thing is making sure we have the runtime environment variables set up. So if you go back to the GitHub repo, we can see in the README file that there are these 5 environment variables that we need to configure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this first one and hit add variable. So under the name, it's going to be the name of the variable, and then the value is going to be associated with the explanation here. So in my case, I'm in the KG demos project, and if I click this, I can see the ID. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to paste it here. So all of your values will differ. Okay. And then next we're going to go BQ dataset, which is your BigQuery dataset. So if we actually go back to BigQuery over here, we can see it is Big Crawler IPs. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to paste this in here. And then is your table. So within a dataset lives individual tables, which is where the data is stored. So this is what you want the table to be. So in my case, I'm just going to go IPs as an example. Then is your Google service account. So if you don't have one already, and in our case, we don't have one, we're going to go ahead and create it. So I'm going to just go into a different tab here, click these 3 buttons, go to IAM and admin, and click service accounts. Now, if you're starting with a fresh install, you may not need, you may not see this. So you'll hit create service account. In my case, I already have one. So I'm going to go to manage keys. I'm going to hit add key, create new key, make sure it's JSON, hit create, and then it's going to prompt me to download this. So I can now see it downloaded. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up in text editor and copy all of the contents, okay? And then go back to Cloud Functions and paste all of the contents into the service account variable. Last but not least is your KG key variable. And this is a way to jankily, if that's even a word, authenticate incoming HTTP requests. So essentially to make sure that the request coming in to trigger the cloud function and to trigger the saving of the IPs is only coming from a source that you know and trust. So I'm going to copy this, paste that in there, which we did, and then I'm going to come up with a code, which in this case will just go as Jordan. Okay. So once all of these are added, we're going to hit next. And then now you can see, in my case, it is asking me to enable the required APIs, which I'm going to hit enable. I'll close this. And depending on how many APIs need to be enabled, this may take a while, or it could just take a few seconds like it did here. So now we need to add in all the code from this repository into the Cloud Function itself. So by default, you're going to be on index.js. So we need to go to index.js, and we're going to copy all of the code here. Scroll all the way down. Okay, we're going to hit copy, and then we're going to paste this in, making sure to remove the old code. And then for the entry point, we want it to match with this main right here. So as entry point, it's going to be main. And then for the package.json file, we'll delete all of this again, just like we did with the last one. And we'll go over to the left-hand side here and click package.json, take all this, copy it, paste it. Come on. Oh, come on. Copy. And of course, this isn't pasting right now. Come on. There we go. So we can now see it's copied, and we're going to hit deploy. And then as it's deploying, you can see creating function, and it redirects me to this main details page for the function. And in this left-hand side here, you can see it starting to compile, and the build, we can see it starting to build. This may take a few moments, so I will pause this and join you once it is done being deployed. All right, and we are back. We can now see that the Cloud Function is live with this nice, beautiful green check mark. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to go over and I'm going to go to the Cloud Scheduler. So you can either do this by going through the 3 bars, hitting more products, and finding Scheduler, or you can even click Scheduler here. Oops. And opening it up. So I just opened it up into a new tab. So what we're going to do now is we are going to create a schedule that will trigger this Cloud Function that we just deployed on a daily basis. That way, if Google or Bing ever updates the IP addresses in their official documentation and file, we will be able to get that almost right away. So we don't have to worry about manually updating our database at all. So we're going to go over back to this tab here. We're going to hit create job, and then we're going to give the job a name. So I like to keep everything with the same naming convention. So it'll be Big Crawler IPs. And then we're going to set the frequency. So we're going to set this to every day. So it's 0, 1, star, star, star. Okay. And if you ever need, insight into how this works, you can hit the learn more. But essentially what is happening is this schedule will trigger the Cloud Function every day at 1 o'clock in the morning. As for time zone, I'm up here in Canada, so I'm going to search Canada, and I am in Toronto, so we're going to go to Toronto right there. We're going to hit continue. Oops. Missing a star there. Okay, hit continue. For the target type, we're gonna go HTTP. Then this is where we go back to the crawler on the cloud function. We copy this and we paste it in here. Now, here's a very important part as well. If we go back to variables, we can see the KG key and the value that we set to it. So we're going to set up the KG key as a URL parameter. So we're going to copy this. We're going to go to the URL. We're going to add a question mark, KG key, making sure there's no spaces, equals, and then we're going to set the value to this at the end. So again, making sure there's no spaces. So in my case, it's going to be question mark, KG key equals Jordan. We're going to make sure post is the method, and we can leave the rest blank. So we're going to hit continue. For this retry config, we're just going to set it to 2 so that in case it doesn't work the first time, it'll try 2 additional times. And then we're going to hit create. And then we can see that it has been created. So you can see how many times it's ran, what the status of the last execution is, what the frequency is. Now, with these 3 buttons here, you can actually force a run. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit force run. And this will essentially force the cron job or the schedule to run. Now, what we want to do is if we actually go back to the cloud function, we're going to go to logs, and we are going to look for logs. So I'm actually going to refresh this page. And we can see that log data is, the logs for this cloud function is going. And we can actually see that right after we ran this function, this scheduler, the function ran and added 257 additional IP addresses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up, open BigQuery in another tab, and then what we can do is if we go back to the project, the data set, and the IPs, and we hit preview, we can see all of the IP addresses that have been added. So we can see the search engine, which is GoogleBot, along with the IP. So these are IPv6s. Now, if we go, say, over a few, we can see GoogleBot, IPv4. And if we keep going, we can see BingBot as well. So that is how to deploy the Big Crawler IPs cloud function. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions or run into anything, feel free to hit me up on Twitter or even submit an issue on GitHub. Thanks, and bye for now.